All right. First things first, a few weeks ago, Mark, I believe, asked about quote leads. So I just want to go over that. Okay, so two kinds of quote leads. One, as you can see on the right here, is when the lead is a quote. So when the lead is a quote, start it with a single quote and then change the drop cap to 2 characters. That's in the toolbar up here. I don't know if my cursor is showing on the screen. At the top here, it says A+, and you can add a 2. It's normally 1. Changing it to 2 makes it go in 2 characters. So the single quote and then the first letter. And then on the left here is when we have one of those, that happens in opinion and columns a lot, where they have a quote that's not, sorry about that, a quote that is not, it's not part of the story. It's just like to set up the column, or, words of wisdom, or, sometimes the faith columns use like a Bible verse or something like that. So when you have that, we're going to do, well, I would read this page real. Do single quotes and features text, but italicized, and then take out the indent. That way it stands out a bit from our normal text, but doesn't take up too much space. And then just put a return between that and the story, and then have the story start normally. Questions on that?
I do have a question. If we run into a situation like this, but the space where the column is running isn't very deep, can it run 1/2? Like, can it run on the top of 2 columns? I know sometimes we run into that with like long letters or editor's notes, where like it's kind of deeper than the space allows.
Right. Yeah. In that case, I would say use your judgment. If doing that is going to make the page look better and more cohesive, then yeah, do that. Mark said, what about the attribution over here? Yeah. Put my character in. So then use the dash, the name, and then just justify it to the other side. But keep it in the same kind of text and italicized. Any other questions? Yes, Aaron, I already added it to the style guide, and then I'll also link this video there too. So Aaron asked if it could be added to the style guide, but I am on top of things today. I'm a very together person. Any other questions on that? Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about has to do with some issues we've been having lately with content, and I think it really comes down to communication. We have had must-run content that did not make it into publications, and the pod editor didn't know that it didn't make it, and the publications editor did not know that it didn't make it. We've had optional content run instead of must-run content. We've just been having a few issues with content. So I want to make sure that we're very clear. Anything that does not say optional must run. And if you cannot get it to fit on the page, then you need to talk to the pod editor so that the pod editor can determine, what can hold or what needs to be moved to the other page or things like that. So anything that does not say optional, you need to run. And if you aren't able to, then you need to make sure that the pod editor knows about that. The other thing is when it comes to optional stories, you need to make sure that you're accurately marking the budget in terms of what you've used and haven't used, and then let the pod editor know when you're done with that page. This especially applies to opinion pages. We've had a few issues recently of readers calling and saying, I wrote you this letter 3 weeks ago and you didn't run it. It's that, because you're a leftist rag, kind of things. And we don't want to have that happen. What happened, of course, was that Under a lot of opinion pages, they put, here's the 6 letters, run what fits, but we didn't properly communicate back. These are the 3 we used. These 3 can go to tomorrow. So please make sure that whatever optional content you're using, you don't cross off the other stuff, and that you communicate to your pod editor so that they can make sure that the content list for the site is correct, so that we can avoid those kinds of issues. Again, especially with the opinion page, with those letters to the editor, that's community submitted content, and it's incredibly important for the health of our publications that we have those linked. So any questions or anything on that? Aaron says, can we ask the pod editors to be more proactive in marking optional content, especially photos, like many of those 15 photos attached? Do they really expect us to? Okay. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I can do that. And, if any of you run into a situation where they're not being clear, or, if there is 15 photos, obviously feel free to ask. If there's somebody that you feel is regularly not clear about what is and isn't optional, let me know, because I can talk directly with that person and go over the budget and help them understand exactly how to put it. And yes, I will add to my pod meeting agenda for next week to make sure that they're being really a lot more clear, especially in those things with a lot of photos. So anything else? I think Emily had one thing she was going to mention.
Yeah, when you have especially an entire section, make sure you're checking all of the cells in the modulus spreadsheet for like some publications have business briefs and it's separate from milestones, and political letters are separate too. So ideally, like, the pod editor will put them on the budget, but just in case, be double checking anything on the day of publication that has the whatever publication code you have. So just watch out for that.
All right. Well, thank you all for your time. As I said, the quote leads is already on the style guide. And then I'm also just going to, once this video is up, link this on the style guide too. So in case how it's explained on the style guide is unclear, you can reference the dude. So thank you all. Have a great day.